Well, Regina Harmon is the Executive Director of the Food Recovery Network, a student-led movement aimed at fighting food waste. She joins us from Alexandria, Virginia, in the United States. Welcome to the programme. So, why is there so much food waste? Are people buying too much food or just using it wastefully?
Thanks so much for having me. It's a wonderful question. There's a lot of food loss and food waste across the food system. When we think about our farm fields all the way to our grocery stores, restaurants, higher education institutions, and our own homes, food goes to waste because we forget about it in our own homes. Food is wasted and lost during transportation. It remains on farm fields. So all across the food system, there's opportunity, unfortunately, for food loss and for food waste. But luckily, there's definitely things we can do about that.
And given what you say then, what is the impact on and connection to climate change?
Yes. So in the United States, we have about 38% of our food that we produce in the United States goes uneaten every single year, annually. And so that food, the majority of the time, isn't used to feed animals. It's not used to make anaerobic energy. It isn't composted. The number one place that that food goes is into landfill, sadly. And we know so much of that food is still perfectly good for humans to eat. And so when it goes into landfill, that is where it rots and creates excess CO2 that our atmosphere is unable to absorb, which causes, as we all know, greenhouse gas and the global warming effect.
Now, you mentioned that things can be done, though. And what can people do individually, then, to improve the situation?
Yes, I think when we hear such large numbers about the number of people who are food insecure and going hungry all across the globe, in the United States, it's 44 million people who are food insecure. Those numbers can feel quite overwhelming. And luckily, we can do a lot. Every single individual has the opportunity to support all of us doing the right thing with our food. And so for us in the home area, that means taking better care of the food that we do have, preserving it by freezing it, making sure that we make the best use of our leftovers. And then where Food Recovery Network is situated, we can do more to lean into already existing legislation that helps promote and support food recovery so that we can recover all of that precious food on farm fields. When grocery stores have surplus food, that food can go to food banks, homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters to support the people who desperately need that food so that that food is not going into landfill. And we can do that on our end, by having a food recovery plan in place so that large quantities of food can be recovered. And so we work with lots of corporations all across the United States who are doing just that. It's the logistics that need to be put in place so that if there happens to be surplus food, we have a plan for it. We know where that food can go and be safely consumed by people who need it.
And, of course, we don't want to compromise safety, but what about things like expiration dates on products? Does that play a role?
Unfortunately, confusion around date labeling is a huge factor as to why so many homes in the United States are actually wasting food that they don't need to. We've found that around 80% of homes at some point are going to throw away food unnecessarily because they are confused by date labeling. Food Recovery Network and a lot of our partners have lent our voices to support the Food Date Labeling Act as part of the Farm Bill, which would help to clarify safety and quality use by standardizing date labels. And we see from industry that it's something that they are very willing to do. Many have, in fact, already done that. But until everyone gets on board with standardizing these date labels, we'll continue to see food loss unnecessarily. But that's absolutely something that is easy, is very inexpensive to do, and could really save a lot of individual family homes a lot of money annually. Around $2,600 is lost for an average family of four in the United States because of their food loss, and confusion around date labeling absolutely contributes to that.
OK, we'll leave it there. Regina Harmon, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much.